Welcome in, everybody. The temple doors are open and the cleric is in his confessional. Welcome in, everyone. My name is Alec the Cleric. I'm a Wonderlands and Borderlands content creator. I'm a YouTube editor, podcaster, and all-around funny dad who has no idea what he's doing when he plays games. But we have a lot of fun anyway. This is episode 6 of The Confessional, where we interview incredible and interesting people from all walks of life and places abroad. And the best part of the show is that you, as the viewer, get to participate. All you have to do is show up live here to twitch.tv/AlecTheCleric every Sunday evening at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And you can ask your questions live in the chat of our guest this week. Or you can check out our Discord server, !Discord, if you're in the chat right now on Twitch. You have a chance to ask your questions ahead of time if you can't make the live show, and we will definitely try to get to your questions on the episode. You can also check us out on Twitter at ClericCast to see who's coming up next week, so you can stay fully up to speed on all things confessional. All right, enough of that really boring intro stuff. Let's get to our guest this week. Joining me for this week's, our 6th episode, is an absolutely amazing creator, and I am so excited and so honored to get a chance to talk to this guy. He is a streamer, a content creator, an incredibly accomplished fighter with 5 national belts, and was ranked number 1 in New Zealand in 2 different weight classes, and he is a stunning canvas of tattoos. So please welcome in SoufPaw. SoufPaw, how are you doing, my man? SoufPaw.
Howdy.
SoufPaw,
No, doing
how
good,
are
man.
you
Doing good.
my
It's like still waking up, even though it's
doing
lunch.
good,
man. Doing good.
That's
It's
alright.
like still waking
No,
up.
doing
good.
Yeah.
Because it's early in the morning.
No,
over there
doing
for
good.
you, actually.
Yeah.
It's like 12:30 now, but I had to wake up at a dreadfully early 9 a.m. I had to wake up at a dreadfully early.
I believe that.
Going well. How's things on your end? How's things?
Things are good, man. Things are good. So let's go ahead and get right into it here. Why don't you just really quickly start off by telling us a little bit about who you are and what you do as far as your content goes.
So, SoufPaw, the name comes from the fighting, left-handed. That was a big part of my life when I started up streaming, and then it slowly started going like the other way. Like starting from fighting, that was still going to be my main thing, but then I sort of found that like fighting wasn't really that financially viable for a future. Like especially in New Zealand, it's definitely not one of the main sports. If I'd have gone into rugby or something, I would have been funded by the government for life.
Yeah.
And then as time went on, I sort of realized that maybe trying to be the funny guy on the internet was more fun than getting punched in the face for not much. And it just started taking off, Like it started going really well. Like I'd only been on Twitch for like a short time, but I could see that there was like a potential future in it for me. And I was like, I've always been one to try and entertain people or try to be the funny guy. And I mean, especially with all the production shit that I can put on stream now, it's just, I don't know, it really just took off for me. So now I just try to be the funny guy. I try to like keep it as variety streaming between different games and whatnot, but lately I've been like absolutely obsessed with speedrunning Dark Souls and shit like that. I love the challenge stuff, but yeah, otherwise I try to keep it about just chat and hanging out, talking shit to each other. Picture like a big group of friends that you just give each other shit with. And that's not me because I'm a really nice person. Everyone in the chat can vouch for that. I would never give any of them shit for anything.
I believe that.
And
I believe that. So how did you get started? Because obviously, like you said, you were a fighter and stuff before. So how did you actually get started in streaming and in content creation? Was that something that just kind of on a whim, or how did that jump into being?
It's kind of funny actually. Me and my girlfriend at the time, I don't know, because that was sort of when as we were starting up as COVID was still sort of hitting and stuff, and all the fighting was sort of iffy, because by the time I got to the point where I could fight over the world, COVID started hitting in, so I couldn't go anywhere. And she started saying like, like if you're playing games this much anyway, you may as well try to earn like a little bit of money. You might as well try to just see what you can do with it. And I just got obsessed with it. Like it was just, I guess at the start it was like seeing the viewer count even at like 5 or 6. I was like, holy shit, like there's people that are wanting to watch. And I started getting obsessed with it. Like I said at the time, I was still sort of wanting to pursue fighting and streaming. But that's a lot of fucking hours. Like that was like 25 hours of training every week,
Yeah.
and then trying to put the extra time into like production stuff and then streaming and stuff. And it actually got to a point where I kind of realized that maybe mine and her paths didn't really align anymore. I was like, I was really enjoying this. And it was something that I wanted to pursue, you know. It's like all I'd ever done was like growing up, I was sort of dreaming of if I could play games for a fucking living, man, like, that's cool as fuck.
Don't we all have that dream as a kid? You know, like
exactly. And eventually got to a point where we just said, like, you know, maybe for now we step back from the relationship and we see how things go. And so on Christmas morning we decided to call it.
Oh no.
Yeah, so that was a very good Christmas. And that's how I got into it. She convinced me to do it, and she created a monster. She made the monster that I've become.
Oh man,
that you all have to deal with. So you can blame her.
Oh well, I guess we have her to thank for that then, because I mean I've spent some time watching some of your content and stuff, and it is absolutely golden content. And
fucking shit show. Sad as it is, man.
Lately you've been focusing a lot on like the From Software games, like the Dark Souls games and stuff like that. What about those games or that genre of games, these like challenging, overly difficult games, just entices you, or why do you like those games so much?
I think it's the feeling of like knowing that there's people, especially with the speed running lately, like knowing that there's people that get stuck trying to get through the game for like 60 to 80 hours, and now my challenge is just trying to beat it within an hour.
I guess.
Like it's just like the success of it, you know, like you're playing these awfully challenging games, and compared to when you first start them, when you die like 30 or 40 times to a boss, you go through it again, you beat them first or second try. It just feels good. You're like, okay, I can see that I am, as they say, getting good.
As the kids would say.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's what's appealing about it. Like and now that I've added the timer into it, seeing the green splits or like the golden splits just feels good. So I think that's what's been appealing with that. But like for the most part, like I actually started as like basically a maining Sea of Thieves streamer.
Okay.
And if anyone's seen me play SOT, you know I'm a fucking sweaty cunt on that. So it's fucking, like I think me and my old crew, we used to sail. There was like 3 months of us sailing together, and I think we got to like 300th in the world for PvP.
Oh wow.
Like we were very annoying people on Sea of Thieves.
No,
and,
it's awesome.
And it started off as that, and then yeah, I started slowly branching out because I was like, well, I don't want to. The issue for me with streaming is that when people main games, I've found that if they, you know, a lot of people will watch for the gameplay.
Mm-hmm.
You can tell that they're watching for the gameplay because their chat won't really be moving that much, no matter how many people are in there. So people are either watching for the gameplay or they're just lurking. And then so that means that if they suddenly go to play something else, half of those people that are just watching for the game, they're not going to be there anymore because they're no longer playing the game that they were just watching for. So I tried to emphasize on making it so, like, I try to always emphasize that I'm a variety streamer. It's about us hanging out. It's not about the game. And that way people can expect me to play something different. They'll know that I'm not just going to play these games all the time. In the hopes that eventually if I do play something else, they're not going to be like worried about me suddenly not playing their game because they should have expected it. I told them from the start. Yeah. And yeah, I think that's sort of the way that I try to look at streaming now. And so since I did that, like, yeah, I met a lot of new people. I've had a lot of people come and go. I had most of the people, and like, so I'm just off cut again. And that applied to Sea of Thieves. I had a lot of people that would watch me on SOT. There'd be like 30 or 40 people. Suddenly, when I stopped playing SOT, I'd go down to like 10 viewers or something. So that was like, well, I don't want to play one fucking game for the rest of my life. That sounds fucking terrible. Especially if it's like Viva Pinata or Doki Doki Literature Club or something. I'm all right with that one. But like the Viva Pinata would be shit.
Yeah, no, that would not be fun. Absolutely not. No, that sounds awful.
Yeah. So it's that whole thing of trying to not get stuck on one game, which means that, yeah, you're probably going to have like slower growth to a point. You'll have a slower, consistent viewer base, but you'll have probably a higher follower gain rate because you're branching out. Heaps of different people are able to find you.
Sure.
yeah, so I've always tried to emphasize that I'm more of a variety streamer and a just chatting streamer that plays games as opposed to like a I main this game.
And it sounds to
And
me
then,
too like community is a really big thing for you. You know, like where like you said, not getting focused on one game to the point where people are just watching you for the gameplay. You like you're about, and I've been in your streams before, and you are all about, you know, interacting with your community and building this community around you. And like for you, that has worked really, really well. And I think that's something to be admired. Really, is to take that aspect of it and make the community such an important part. And yeah, no, that's really cool. What would you say, like, if you were going to give some advice to somebody who is looking to start streaming, specifically variety streaming, because that can be so difficult to kind of get into as opposed to just focusing on one game? What would be some advice you would give to them about building that community and building that rapport with your audience, no matter what game you're playing?
I think just treat everyone like they've been mates with you for ages.
Mm,
Like it makes them feel welcomed back, makes them feel like they want to come back, shit like that. If they feel like they're connecting with you on a personal level, like don't try to put on a character. I think that's the biggest thing. I know a lot of people do. I know it's just the way, but like if I could sit there and pretend to be this big public fucking hero,
mm.
or I just sit there and call you a cunt. Like you know when I call you a cunt, like it's just banter, it's just friends. If I sit there trying to be like, you know, we are always doing our best to support everyone, it's like, you know, it's sort of put on because
Mm-hmm.
it's like, you know, like so I feel like just be yourself. Try to relate to people, focus on chat more than the game. Like if you're playing Warzone or something like that, just a sweaty game, people aren't gonna fucking watch you for the game. If people are watching you for the gameplay, they'd go watch someone who's actually top tier, like pro level. That you're either got to have the best fucking gameplay in the world, or you've got to have like a decent personality. People aren't there to watch you play the game. People are there to talk to you. Otherwise, if they were there for the gameplay, they'd just go watch the fucking the pros and all the pro leagues and stuff like that.
Right.
There's a reason they're hanging out with you, so don't just ignore people. Make them the focus of the game, of the focus of the stream.
I like
Uh, yeah, because like I said, yeah, if you're focusing on that, people can always just go along and watch other people's streams. Like, yeah, there's a reason that they're watching you. Make them the focus of it, as
I like
opposed to the
that.
game.
I like
Yeah,
that. That's something that I think it doesn't get said enough, and so I'm glad that you said that. Is focus on the people around you instead of just focusing on the video game you're playing. That is excellent advice. Everybody needs to take that, write that down, put it on a sticky note or something, slam it on your desk, because that is that is really solid advice, man. Really solid
yeah.
advice.
If I'm sitting there watching someone new, I just gotta follow. If I'm sitting there like watching someone new, I don't Steam think of the follow. You know, if I'm sitting there watching someone new and they don't reply to me for like 5 minutes, I'm just gonna dip. Like I'm
Yeah.
like, look, I'm here to talk to you. I'm not here to watch you play game.
Mm-hmm.
Just talk to me. Um, yeah, I think that's a big thing, and that's a big issue with people who do try to make it big and like COD. I think we're at a point where it's just not gonna work. You know, Call of Duty isn't the game to get big in. Sweetie games like that, they're just not because people are just gonna end up playing like watching the big streamers. You either got to have a great personality or you have to be the best at the game for that sort of thing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
there's something to be said about not chasing the trend, right? Like not chasing
yeah,
what game is huge right now, and I feel like a lot of people try to do that, and it very obviously does not work out for them often anyway. Sometimes it does, but it is rare. Very, very
yeah.
rare.
And I'd say like you know everyone says like support for support and networking. It's fucking bullshit.
Oh yeah.
Support for support doesn't work. There was this big phase where like a whole lot of partners were pushing support for support, saying that it works. And it's like it doesn't. Because you end up being on Twitch 24/7.
Right.
Otherwise, the people that you're no longer supporting and watching, they're not going to come back and support you. Like they're
Exactly.
only watching you because you're supporting them. If you're relying on support for support, it doesn't fucking work. Don't fucking expect people to come back and watch you just because you support them. If you enjoy their content, enjoy their content. All right. Don't fucking go there expecting them to come back and watch you, expecting them to support you. That's not fair on them. You've gone into their stream expecting some fucking reciprocal shit. Like it doesn't work like that. They've got no obligation to come and check you out. So go into there. If you enjoy it, enjoy it. If you don't enjoy it, you don't have to fucking be there. You can do anything with your time. All right? Fuck.
I fucking love that. I mean, that is just it. Hey, this is SoufPaw just spitting truth, hot fire truth tonight, guys. This is beautiful. I absolutely love it.
It's just there's so many people that will come in, and I've had people call me out in other people's streams, even saying like, "Oh, so I've noticed that I've had this many hours of watch time in your stream, and you only have 20 minutes in mine." I'm like, sorry, this isn't the place. Well, A, this isn't the fucking place for that, and B, I don't care. I touched grass today. What did you do?
Obviously
That's
not
a
that.
lie. Yeah, that's a lie. I also didn't touch grass. But it was, yeah, it's just, I don't know. It's such a big thing. And like, you get people coming through like, oh, I'm live right now. Can you support me? It's like, probably not.
Well,
Yeah,
and
it's just-
that's where you as a personality comes in, right? Because like if and like you said before, if you show up into somebody's chat and you're not vibing with the personality, or they don't even acknowledge you for a few minutes or something like that, you're not going to come back. You're not going to stick around. But if you have someone who is showing that kind of personality and that kind of attention to chat, like, then you're more likely to come back and hang out, just like you would at any friend's house or something.
Yeah, I think it all comes down to like a sense of entitlement, because the same is on the inverse. Like if someone's, for example, if I'm fighting a boss on Dark Souls or something, this has happened a couple of times actually. I was fighting someone on Elden Ring, so I was looking at the fucking game because I was having a bit of a rough time with them, and people were just spamming sound effects and whatnot in the chat as they do. And when I looked back, I suddenly I must have missed someone's message, because then after the stream I checked my inboxes and there was a DM saying, well, there's no point coming to your stream if you're going to ignore my message anyway. I was like, when did you jump in? She's like, well, you were fighting one of the bosses. And I was like, did you try putting a message again? We're like, no, it got ignored. I didn't want to put it. I was like, I missed a fucking message. Put it back in the chat. Move on. It's like, people, they're not going to be able to catch every single message. Suck up your fucking pride and just put it back in there again.
Yeah.
It's not hard.
Yeah.
But it's happened so many times. Like, it's just happened a ridiculous amount. It's just a sense of entitlement, and that's going to cross the board on Twitch everywhere you go. People are going to be like, oh, well, why aren't you supporting my stream? I've been in yours. It's like, I didn't even know you streamed. Like shit like that. Like, it's going to happen everywhere.
Yeah, it will. And it's not just and that's just good, solid life advice too, is that, like, don't expect things from people, right? Like, nobody owes you anything.
Yeah. If you expect things from people, then you're just going to open yourself up for disappointment. For sure. Do things that you want to do because it's right by you, not because you expect a reciprocal thing. Like if I come and hang out with someone, it's because I enjoy them and I just want to chat with them for a bit. If I go in, I'm not expecting them to come back and watch me. I watch plenty of streamers that don't come back and support me because I enjoy their shit.
Yeah.
But it's like people come through and they expect you to go through to them because COVID fucked Twitch up for everyone, I reckon. Because everyone decided that they were going to be a streamer. Everyone said they were going to be the next big thing. Mm-hmm. So suddenly everyone on Twitch is a streamer. There's not many pure viewers anymore. Mm-hmm. Everyone is a streamer. Everyone wants to make it big. And everyone makes it competitive. Everyone's like, if he gets that big, I won't be able to get that big. So I need to fucking hold animosity towards them because they're succeeding. How dare they? It's like, maybe there's something that you're missing. Maybe you could be more interactive. Maybe you could put more production stuff into it. Appeal to people a little bit more. Sure. People always look at others and shoot them down as opposed to looking at their own stuff and trying to think, well, there's something that I could be doing better here. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. I love that.
And I feel like that was one thing that I sort of managed to find early, that if I put more work and like production stuff into my shit, it's going to be more entertaining. If I put all the interactive stuff in it, people can fuck with me a bit more, which is funnier for them and shit like that. I feel like people just forget that aspect of it.
Yeah.
So it's, you're going to get out what you put in. Yes, it's not always the case. you can get unlucky. You know, the Twitch algorithm's pretty fucked up. You can get pretty ripped off with like people not looking at your shit or people, you know. I know it's pretty rough. Twitch is a pretty cutthroat place. Um, but everyone seems to want to be shooting each other down as opposed to building each other up, and I think that's the worst part of it.
It's really, yeah, it's a really
Yeah.
sad fact is that everybody's trying to climb on each other's heads to get ahead, and it's just kind of a
Yeah,
mess.
it's like a really bad tradey workplace. You know, everyone's
Yeah.
pushing each other out of the way to get ahead, as opposed to working with each other to fucking make like a proper team or bond.
Well, hey, let's get to some other questions here. We got a couple from the community, so let's move to another subject here, which is your incredible collection of tattoos. Loopy Lou 0812 from the chat would like to know: do you have a story behind your absolutely immaculate chest tattoo that we can see on your logo and everything?
You just look cool. But,
There you go.
nah, nah. I don't know. I think, I don't know, to a point, yeah. It's like, so what the chest is, it's like, it's my heart in the middle with like the galaxy behind it, chest ripped open sort of thing. Fuck, I can't remember what was going through my mind at the time. I just thought it looked real cool. One of those like really opened up chest things.
Gotcha.
And then there were like the two circles up here, and I didn't know what to fucking put in, so I just got my brother and sister's birth signs, and I was like, well, now I've got a tattoo of you guys, so where's mine? You know, reciprocal. It goes both
There you
ways.
go. We're going both ways again here.
And then yeah, so I think like there wasn't too much behind the chest piece. It just, yeah, I don't know. I didn't even know I didn't even know where it came from. I just thought, you know, it looked pretty cool.
Do you have a favorite in all the tattoos that you've got? Do you have a favorite?
It's kind of funny actually. My favorite actually was the one that I was the most regretful of to start with.
All right, story
Like,
time. Let's go.
I got it. I fucking got it, and I went for a walk around the lake here, just smoking cigarettes the whole time, thinking, "What the fuck have I done?" Like I actually, it's the writing that goes up there, and then
Okay.
around. And because when I got it, it was probably like the biggest surface covering tattoo that I had.
Mm-hmm.
And I just saw it in the mirror. I was like, holy shit, what the fuck have I done? So I went for a big old walk around the lake and smoked cigarettes, basically to that fucking In the Arms of the Angel song. It's just one of those fucking things. And but yeah, eventually it sort of just grew on me, and that actually became my favorite. It's the Seven Deadly Sins, like
Yeah.
Lust, Greed, Pride, all them. Yeah, it was actually the one that I hated the most at first. Well, I didn't hate it, but I was the most like, what have I done? This is a big one. Yeah, and then I just kept going, just keep getting more and more and more.
It's kind
I've
of
got the whole,
it's kind of addicting, isn't it? Once you get rolling.
yeah. I got like the whole video game tattoo. That would have been my first sleeve that I got. Probably the first group actually. And then I just started getting like anime on my leg and all this other shit. Just a whole lot. Just a whole lot. I think I've spent more money than I should have. I think all up it'll be like 15 grand New Zealand, which would be about 8 or 9 grand US maybe.
I
If
gotcha.
Yeah, so I went in. I had way too much money and not enough to spend it on. I had a really good paying job when I was younger.
It's money well spent, though, man. Those tattoos are beautiful, absolutely beautiful. So that is money well spent.
Yeah, I get to keep them forever, so at least there's that.
Yeah, there you go.
But yeah, so there was that. That's pretty much the tattoos. And then on the back I've got like the ones from Thailand from when we went over there for like training camp and stuff. Yeah.
Cool. Very cool. So you mentioned just now, and obviously before in the intro, I mentioned the fact that you have a past in fighting, specifically Muay Thai and kickboxing, if I'm correct, right?
Yeah.
So why don't you tell us a little bit about that? Because I know that, like, obviously that's not something you're doing at the moment, but that is something that makes you as a person very unique. So why don't you tell us a little bit about that? Like how you got started in that? What was the motivation that made you want to do that as a sport? And you know what? Yeah, just give us the whole rundown on that. In a
It was
nutshell.
actually, it's another story how I got into it. I don't know, I was really down in the ditches, like mental health wise. Like I was an alcoholic. I wouldn't be here if it weren't for it. Like put it that way. There was not much lasting longer than that. And one of my mates gave me an offer. He just said, "Look, dude, you should just come try it out. You know, it'd be just good, just some exercise or something." And of course, at the time, I think I was probably more in that whole wanting to be a badass kind of phase in life, you know, like wanting to be the tough guy. So I gave it a go. It was probably just to stroke my ego at first. But I mean, when you get into a fight gym, you quickly learn that there's no place for an ego there. And I'd train, like I'd still be smoking and stuff. I'd just be training for the sake of training, probably more knowledge and just fucking ego, if anything. And eventually it sort of just started growing on me. I wasn't the fighting, I wasn't the hurting people or anything like that. Like I've never been a violent person.
Mm.
Outside of fighting, I've never actually even been in a fight in my life. Like not at school, not growing up, not anywhere. I'm really good at talking shit. Like really good. But I'm good at talking my way out of shit too. It's that fine middle. And eventually I started falling for like the progress of it, you know, like learning something new, doing something slightly better each time, or feeling slightly fitter, things like that. The family environment that at that specific gym was good. Like it felt more like a family. It felt really welcoming. And eventually I went to one of my mates' fights. I saw him fight and he won. And me being big old espresso depresso at the time, I kind of just saw how proud of himself he looked, or saw how happy he was. And I remember thinking like, damn, I wonder if I can be that happy one time. Like I wonder if I can feel that. And that night I actually quit drinking and smoking on the spot. Like I used to smoke a 30 gram of cigarettes every 2 days. Like I fucking smoked a lot and I'd drink like 2 or 3 boxes a weekend. Like it was a lot.
Yeah.
And eventually I went through and I had my first fight. And I think it was like a 16-second knockout for my first fight, which
Oh
was
my
pretty
God.
like, yeah, and I was like, well, this is pretty easy. And I went in, yes, that fucking stroked the ego more than I fucking needed it to. Um, and I was like, I can do this. But then every fight, like the next 3 or 4 fights, the second one I won, but it went the distance. So I was like, I quickly learned that I wasn't going to be able to knock everyone out.
Mm.
But it also, I still found it really hard. Like I still found it really hard to hit people, and then I still found it really hard to get in the ring. Because I wasn't a violent person. I was like, shit, like, am I really going to be able to do this? Yeah, I just started doubting myself with it a lot. I think the third fight was the fastest knockout I've ever had. It was a whopping 3 seconds.
Wow.
We both just went in at the same time, and I managed to catch him on the chin with something. With a right hook. But as it went on, I started just growing as a person. Started like I had to change my mindset. I wasn't going in there to fight them. I was just sort of going in. It was more like a contest of skill. We're just seeing who, you know, just I'm helping him test himself. He was helping me test myself against my own mental and his against his. And it just started becoming more regular. And I started getting better and kept going. And then before I knew it, I was at the top of the country, like one of the like people wouldn't fight me, sort of thing. Like
Wow.
people would refuse to fight me. I think there's been one of the fights on YouTube that you might have seen against a guy Tony Jaggard. He was undefeated. Yeah,
Yeah,
he
I
was the
did watch that
first person.
fight.
He was the first person that was sitting there telling me that he was going to knock me out. It should be an easy fight. He was going to walk through me. And I think out of 90 photos of the fight that were taken by the photographer, I think there was one of him hitting me.
Wow.
Like he got nothing. There was just like so many of him getting laid out and just fucking flattened.
Oh, that's amazing.
That was a very prideful moment. And he actually recently won a tournament, King in the Ring, which is one that Israel Adesanya he won. It was like 3 fights in one night.
Right.
And he won that. And I remember watching it. This is after I'd stepped back from fighting. And he was sitting there saying that he's still the best in the country. He's still the best. Like he's proven it. But he's still got that one beside him.
Yes, that one loss. That one loss.
Yeah, and I'm like, you're second best, maybe. And it's just, yeah, I was gonna get back into fighting the second I saw him win. But then I don't know, I started training again, and I just started immediately remembering like all my back injuries, like my ankles basically felt out of place since one of my fights.
Yeah.
Like it feels like it's absolutely just not where it should be. And all of the little injuries and stuff just started coming back, and the weight cutting, like the ideas of that sort of stuff. And it just sort of didn't appeal to me anymore. The thought of doing all that training for not much money, like out of 5 or 6 years, like I only lost 6 fights out of 33.
Right.
But I think all up, I think I made about $1,500 over 5 or 6 years of fighting. Like when I say it's not financially viable, it is not financially viable.
Damn.
33 times getting in the ring to potentially get fucking brain damage for $1,500 to spend all of that money on physio and osteo and chiropractors and stuff just like every week. I think I was spending like $150 a week just to keep my body going.
Wow.
And it just, yeah, I think I started getting back into it. And then I was like, I could just not let him get his chance at redemption. I could just have that little one beside his record forever, and there's nothing he can do about it. And yeah, I think I stepped back from the idea of it again. Yeah, so I think there was it was a little spike. I wanted to get back into it, but I think I'm happy not doing it, I think.
Well, that's good. I mean, that's wonderful, right? I mean, that if you're able to find that happiness, that well, for lack of a better word, that kind of high doing something that isn't going to take such a physical toll on your body. I mean, that's probably,
Mom
more
definitely prefers this.
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
I had to fucking ban her from filming some of my fights for a while. There were some fights at the start that she'd be filming, and all you can hear is just her screaming on the camera. And I'm like, Mom, I can't show this to anyone. Like, I can't show anyone this. So she had to she wasn't allowed to film the fights for a while, and then she just learned that she started to she would watch it through the filming, and it doesn't feel like she's there to her. So she was able to film it and watch it a lot easier. But yeah, she'd definitely scream and stuff. But yeah, I definitely had more highs than lows in there, but the lows were really fucking low.
Right.
Like not being used to losing, it would fucking really hit when you do.
Sure.
Like people underestimate it. People see how good everyone looks when they win a fight, like how proud and how stoked. But they don't see the negative side. They don't see how sad they get. Like I don't think I've seen many people lose their first or second or third fights that didn't cry in the changing room after. Like it's heartbreaking to lose. The people who don't cry or anything, you nearly feel as though they just don't care as much, which is fair. They might not be aspiring to make it anywhere in the sport sort of thing. But I've seen more people cry in the changing rooms than you'd believe. Like it's been a lot. I've got some of our boys quit fighting because they'd take a loss and they couldn't handle it.
Wow.
It's heartbreaking. It's like a coin, I suppose. On one side, you've got the pride and glory and everything if you win. On the other side, you get the fucking heartbreak if you lose.
Yeah, and I think that's a common misconception that a lot of people have about fighters is that, oh, these guys are the toughest, strongest. You can't break these guys, like there's nothing that could break these guys. But, like you said, having seen the other side of that coin, like it's not that way at all.
No, not at all. And then people see, like when I first went to step back from fighting, I get all the people like, no, you can't quit. You're too good, or you're too this, you're this. It's like, you're not the one that has to get in there.
Yeah.
You're not the one that gets in there to get punched in the head. You're not the one that gets nothing out of it. You see 6 minutes or 10 minutes of me in the ring fighting and you think, yes, this is the shit. You don't see the 25 hours every single week that I have to be in there, that I have to push myself to the point of vomiting, to all that shit. Like, people don't see what actually goes into it. They see 6 minutes in the ring. So it's easy for people on the outside to say, like, oh, you can't quit, you can't do this. But it's like they don't experience it the first hand. They don't know what it's like. They don't have to spend the hours doing physio and osteo and shit every night, or going to constant appointments just to get your back clipped back into place and stuff because you're kicking and stuff like that. It's just one of those things that people just don't see. So fighting's it's a bittersweet sport.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like knocking people out is also bittersweet. Like I guess maybe I've got a little bit more empathy than like most, but it's like anytime I've knocked someone out, like I'll always run straight to them. Like I'll check on them. I'll make sure they're okay. I don't want to put anyone in a fucking wheelchair. I don't want to hurt anyone. I don't want to do anything like that. people forget that that's a serious fucking part of the sport, you know? Like, you can get people like I've still had people like we were watching fights and stuff. They're like, "Oh, can you actually die from this?" That's a fucking head trauma. Of
Oh
course
yeah.
you can die from it. Like, there's no gloves on your shin. Like,
Oh,
you
for
can
sure.
absolutely die from it. People don't seem to understand that.
No, and I think a lot of people, because it's a sport, you know, a lot of people just kind of think like, oh, you know, this is, or maybe they've watched too much WWE and think that it's all fake or something, you know, like, no, like this is real shit, man. Like these guys are
Yeah,
taking these hits. Like this is not scripted bullshit, you know?
yeah. I've I've never actually like done the whole thing where people jump on the ropes and they scream when they won or anything like that. I've never done it because when you knock someone out, I kind of look at like I'm looking down on this fucking person
Yeah.
who's unconscious, just knowing that one day this is probably going to be me. That's going to be me lying down on the canvas. How's my mum going to feel? How's my partner going to feel? My friends, my family, everyone watching me lay down unconscious. Like, how are they going to feel? And I'd be naive to think that it was never going to happen to me. It's
Mm,
not going to, I mean, it's not going to happen now because I'm not in the sport.
sure.
You know, I've stepped back from it, but it's like, it was inevitable. It was going to happen. There was only a matter of time. So like going into each fight, just thinking, is this going to be the one? Is this going to be the fight? Is this going to be the fight where mum has to see me knocked out on the ground or something like that, you know? Am I really going to be putting mum through this? Luckily, like, you know, I wasn't bad. I was good at not getting hit. I guess pattern recognition or just seeing things that were happening. Like I was always trying to play chess as opposed to just throwing shit and standing and banging. Like I always try to be a step or two ahead, and it did well for me. You know, like I definitely won pretty well. When on the fights that I lost, it was still a close fight. Some
Mm,
of it was bullshit. Some of it was definitely like up to the judges. And as the old saying goes, don't leave it up to the judges. It's fucking easier to say than when you got someone in front of you trying to knock you out.
oh,
Like,
for sure.
for example, the um the Israel Adesanya fight against what was the one that they just had, Cannonier.
Yeah.
It was a slow fight, and everyone's like, yeah, you know, Cannonier, if he really wanted it, he should have just rushed in. He should have fought. You know, he should have wanted the belt. He needed to go earn it. It's like, yeah, that's why he's at the fucking top and you're not,
Mm-hmm.
because he didn't make dumb fucking decisions like running in to a counter fighter.
Yeah.
That's how you get knocked out. He gets to fight another day. You wouldn't. Like, you know, like that's why people are at the top. They don't just make dumb decisions. It's so easy for everyone in the crowd to say what they should do when they're having never been in the fucking ring. I hate it. You just
Yeah.
you get so much dumb advice. Like sitting in the crowd, they're like, knock him out. It's like, oh, okay.
Okay,
All
yeah,
right.
because it's just that easy,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. I'm sure he wants that. Yeah, I'm sure he would like that.
Yeah, I've got a couple actually here. Steam wants to know, and this one kind of plays into what we were just talking. Did you feel that there were any similarities? I can talk, I promise. Did you feel there were any similarities in fighting in front of people versus streaming content for others to see?
I would say it gave me a confidence of performing under lights, you know, or in front of people. I mean, like the most people I fought in front of was about 10,000 people. And if you can fight in front of 10,000 people, you can sit in front of a camera and be a dumb cunt. They go hand in hand. I think, no, but talking to people was sort of like a strong suit. I've always been pretty chatty for the most part, I guess. I think it initially started off with it's kind of like a counter for like anxiety. Instead of shelling up, just go full on, full in. Um, Instead of yeah going all quiet and all just shelled up,
Mm,
just do the opposite, overcompensate, and just talk heaps of shit. But I think otherwise, yeah, it was like interviews and stuff like that. Like I'm pretty used to talking to people about fighting and stuff. I'm pretty used to just talking to people in general, I guess. Constantly meeting new people, talking to new promoters and stuff like that. I think that helped a lot.
yeah,
Other than that, I'd say that's where the similarities would end.
gotcha, gotcha. Well, and Steam
Mm.
actually has a second question too, and thank you, Steam Gray, for your questions. This one is probably a little bit more interesting. He wants to know, with your background as a fighter and having played games like Elden Ring and Dark Souls, do you ever find your thoughts wandering to the realism of any physical combat in games or lack of realism in some cases?
I'll watch. It gets fucking yeah. So there was one character on Fortnite, and that fucked me off because it's called SoufPaw, and I was like, I can't not get it. But then, like, even in the trailer, she's fighting Orthodox. I'm like, what the fuck? Shit like that. Like, I hate that. But in terms of like injury or anything like that, no. But I do feel like fighting helped with like pattern recognition or things like that, like sort of reading things that are happening as they're happening or before they happen. Like I feel like like I said, I feel like I've got really good eyes. You know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
I feel like I can see shit that's happening. Really, I guess perception would be the word for it,
Yeah,
which is
no,
why I was good. Yeah, which is why I was good at not getting hit.
and
I
that
could just
makes
see what they were
total
doing.
sense too with like the Dark Soul games, like because that's all those games are is like boss patterns and kind of
Yeah,
watching for triggers on like where their body movements are going and stuff. So that's really cool that fighting in a way kind of helps you with games like that. I never would have thought of that, but that's amazing.
yeah. So I'd say there would be similarities in that. I think yeah, just seeing things as they're happening. And it definitely didn't help with the not getting annoyed when shit goes wrong. Let's fucking still do that. Alt F4 that fucking game many a time. Um, but yeah, no, it's I've always sort of thought that, but I've always sort of thought that maybe that like the perception of things, like because I like to think for the
Mm.
most part that I can like jump into a game and I'm not bad at it from base. Like I feel like I've always been pretty good at picking up on things, and it probably is just pattern and repetition and shit like that. Um, I think I like to think that I've got a good brain for it. Patterns, repetition, processing things pretty quick. It's what helps me be a fucking smart ass run as well, so they love me for it,
Oh
I'm
yeah,
sure.
we
Mm.
absolutely love you for it. Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, I've got another question here, and this is one that I actually like to ask all of our guests that have come on. Is that something we all kind of struggle with a little bit from time to time in content creation is burnout. Is that something that you've experienced in your own content creator journey? And do you have tips or anything like that for the audience? Or what works for you whenever you start to get into this feeling of burnout when it comes to your streaming or your content creation?
Um, I think I have felt it. I used to try and make things like every week, and I'd have like next to no time to just kick back and relax. But I also think that burnout happens through like trying to support and hang out with other people if you feel that obligation, you know, like that support for support thing.
Mm-hmm.
If you're not getting rest because you feel like if you're not in everyone else's stream, they won't be in yours, it's also going to cause mental burnout. But I think the biggest thing for me that affected it was that I was sort of chasing that tick, you know, like I was really chasing that tick. The thing for a while there, I was sitting at like 80 or 90 average for about 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks. So I was like, fuck, you know, if we if it keeps going in the next couple of weeks, we could fucking have that tick.
Sure.
Um but then suddenly it just dropped. It dropped like by half. It went to like 45, 50. I didn't like obviously I blamed myself for it. So I just started working harder or trying to change shit. Which just caused more stress.
Mm.
I think the biggest burnout was from stress of chasing things like that, trying to do all that. Um, and I think eventually I just decided that mentally I wanted to step back from the idea of making streaming full time or getting the tech. Like, fuck, obviously I would still like it. Like, that's
Sure.
not what, like, when I say it, I wasn't saying that I don't want to make it full time. I'm saying that I'm giving up on chasing it because chasing it is just stressful. Um, because it's not dependent on you, you know. So for me, I feel like I took that fighting mindset. Whereas if something goes wrong in a fight, it's probably my fault. I probably did something wrong. I might have made a mistake. I did something stupid. Whereas on Twitch, people just have lives, you know. The
Mm-hmm.
the the full time, the tech, the everything. It depends on others. Making Twitch or streaming full time depends on the generosity of others, and that's nothing that I have control over. So taking the idea of making it full time and just stepping back from that was already enough to ease so much of the stress. Because now I can just kick back. It doesn't matter if I don't have 75 viewers. It doesn't matter what I'm fucking doing. If as long as I'm enjoying it, that's what matters. People will have fun with that. takes the stress off me, takes some of the awkward vibes if I'm stressed or tense out of streaming. And it was just a lot more relieving. You know, like I've been guilty of the whole fucking trying to chase shit like that. Which is I think everyone has. Everyone would like to do it.
Oh yeah,
Um,
everybody who fires up the OBS and says go live has dreams of being Twitch partner, you know, and doing this
Yeah.
full time and becoming, you know, Ninja or whoever else. So we're definitely all guilty of that.
Yeah, and I think that was probably what caused me the biggest burnout. And I know everyone else saw it as it was happening too, but because I was like, well, no, I've either done something wrong or I need to change something. I wasn't taking the step back to think, well, maybe I haven't done anything wrong. You know, like though it also goes into what we were talking about earlier. I don't think there is a perfect method to Twitch. I think it is somewhat luck, somewhat production, and somewhat like it's just a mixture of everything, you know. You could do the same thing every week and you could fucking make it. You could also do the same thing every week and go backwards. You could do something different every week and make it. You could do something different every week and go backwards. I don't think there is a perfect formula. I think it's because it's so dependent on other people that it's nearly impossible to sort of do. And you know, over in America right now, COVID restrictions are easing up, and people are starting to go outside. I don't know why the fuck they do that, but they're doing it. Fucking weirdos. But that's going to play a big part on Twitch in general. People are going outside and doing shit. So for me, I needed to realize that that's going to mean that Twitch is probably going to be a lot quieter for a bit.
Sure.
So me sitting there trying to chase these big fucking aspirations and dreams in a time that was going to be the quietest on Twitch that apparently it's been in years, it was just a bad mindset to have and try to stay in. Imagine touching grass. No, absolutely not. I won't do it.
Grass is outside, and outside there's sun. I'm not a huge fan of these things.
Yeah, yeah. Grass, I can imagine the color is what they use to make green screens, isn't it?
Yeah,
Isn't
yeah.
that what that is?
I think that's about right. I've heard of
What's
that.
What's that big burning ball in the sky? It's really loud. That's what that is. It's loud as fuck. Go outside after being inside and you just see that loud as fuck thing in the sky. Fuck that.
Yeah, absolutely not. It's hot and it makes me red. I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan at all. Well, let me ask you just one more quick fun question here before we go ahead and wrap up for tonight, SoufPaw. If you were an ice cream, what flavor would you be and why?
Shit. I don't know. All I can think, I don't know. That really fucking threw me for a loop with that one.
Yeah, that's why I love this question. That's why and we can learn a whole lot about you through this. So
I reckon I'd probably go for cookies and cream.
Oh, I dig
Maybe.
it. I dig it. So why cookies and cream then?
It's because I'm really sweet.
There you go. Oh, look
really,
at that face. Look
really,
at that face.
Really sweet guy.
Man, SoufPaw, this has been an absolute delight to get to talk to you tonight. I appreciate you answering our questions and taking the time out of your normal stream schedule and everything to talk with us. But let's get to the shameless plug portion of the show. Please, where can everybody in the audience go to find out more about you and to support your content?
I go to pornhub.com for
You got that spicy link? You got that spicy link that we
you can go there. But I'm fucking sure most of you do anyway. Just links on screen. I barely use Twitter though. If you're expecting some hilarious content on Twitter, you're absolutely shit out of luck. We don't use Twitter over here, eh? Twitter is not our thing.
No kidding. Just in general, not your guys' thing.
We don't use Twitter in New Zealand, and everyone's like, you should use Twitter more. I'm like, no, no, it's foreign to me. I don't. Everyone's like, oh, I posted you up on Twitter, but I didn't see it. I don't go there. I don't know why. I think it was just Facebook was the main thing over here.
Yeah.
Twitter was for like the edgy sort of, I don't know. It was like Tumblr and Twitter over here were very like coinciding. They were very hand in hand.
I gotcha.
So it was more for like the, I don't know, fucking, I don't know the word that I'm looking for that wouldn't offend that group of people.
Dude, thank you so much for taking this time to talk to us, but that is all the time we have for the confessional this evening. I want to thank our guest again, SoufPaw, for coming here, and I want to thank you, every single one of you in the chat, for being with us tonight. If you have questions that you didn't get to tonight, or if you're watching this on YouTube later, please post them down in the video comments below. We would love to get a chance to hear from you guys. Or if you're joining us on audio format from your favorite podcasting site, please leave us a review with your questions in there. We would absolutely love to hear from you there. Thank you again, everyone. And remember, be excellent to each other. You guys have a good night.